Imagine spending weeks planning your baby shower, baking your own cake, hanging pastel ribbons, wrapping tiny thank you gifts, and then realizing no one's coming. Not your mom, not your sister, not even the aunt who swore she wouldn't miss it for the world. So there I was, 8 months pregnant, sitting alone in a perfectly decorated room surrounded by untouched cupcakes and silence. But if my family wasn't going to show up for me, the internet would. That's how my empty baby shower turned into a viral revenge party. And honestly, it was the best thing that could have happened. My name's Rumi Quinn, and this isn't exactly the glowing pregnancy story I thought I'd be telling. If you'd met me a year ago, you'd think I was one of those women who had everything together. Organized, cheerful, hopelessly optimistic. I used to post morning bump updates and believe every family disagreement could be fixed with a well-timed group chat apology. That version of me would have smiled through disappointment, convinced people didn't mean to hurt me. That version of me died somewhere between the baby name arguments and the RSVP list that never filled up. Now, I'm just Rumi. 30, hormonal, sarcastic, and increasingly allergic to fake apologies. The week before the shower, I was running on caffeine-free optimism. I remember sitting at the kitchen table, scrolling through Pinterest boards titled Boho Baby Bliss. The theme was neutral tones, beige balloons, white roses, gold accents. Dean laughed, saying it looked like a baby shower designed by an aesthetic monk. He was right, but I didn't care. I wanted it perfect. Every detail mattered. Not because I was obsessed with perfection, but because it was mine. After years of living in my sister's shadow, the influencer with the perfect hair, perfect husband, and perfectly fake laugh, I wanted one day where I wasn't the supporting character in someone else's photo. Mom said she'll bring her famous macaroons, Dean reminded me that night, reading off the family chat. Oh, good. That means she'll show up an hour late and complain about the lighting. He smiled, that calm, patient smile that only men who grew up with 4 sisters can manage. She means well. I poked my swollen belly. So did the Titanic. He kissed my forehead. It's going to be great. Everyone's excited. You've been planning this for months. He said it with conviction. I wanted to believe him. The morning of the baby shower, I woke up early. My back hurt, my ankles were swollen, but my heart was doing cartwheels. Nora came over first, my best friend since middle school, the only person I trust enough to see me in maternity leggings and no makeup. She walked in carrying a giant tote bag and a look of determination. All right, Mama Bear, let's get this Pinterest dream rolling. She dropped confetti cannons onto the couch. We spent hours decorating. Gold streamers, pastel balloons, tiny cupcakes lined up like edible soldiers. The cake, a 2-layer vanilla masterpiece, sat proudly in the center of the table, surrounded by baby bottles filled with lemonade. It was beautiful. Even Dean said so, standing in the doorway holding a box of favors. It looks like a magazine cover. You sure we're not overshooting this? I smiled. Let me have this one, Dean. Just this once. He nodded, kissed my cheek, and went to pick up extra ice. The first hour was magical. The sunlight hit the decorations just right, soft music played in the background, and the scent of vanilla filled the air. Then the waiting began. I kept glancing at the clock. 2 o'clock. The shower was supposed to start at 1:30. No big deal. Families run late. 2:15. Nora checked her phone. Maybe traffic? Yeah, I said, laughing too hard at my own lie. Maybe they're stuck behind a parade of regrets. She smirked. You're okay. Totally fine. Perfect. My voice cracked on the last word. At 2:30, Dean came back, carrying bags of ice and an energy drink for me. Any arrivals? Just disappointment, Nora answered for me. Dean frowned, texting my mom. Everything okay? No reply. At 3, my phone buzzed. Not calls, but notifications. Celeste had posted an Instagram story, her at a rooftop brunch clinking glasses with friends, captioned, "Sundays are for self-care and mimosas." I stared at it for a full minute. before laughing. Not the kind of funny. The brittle, hollow kind. She forgot, I said. Or maybe she remembered and didn't care, same difference. Dean tried to put a hand on my shoulder. Rumi, no, it's fine. Totally fine. Perfect. Who needs family when you've got 6 dozen cupcakes and a Spotify playlist titled Joyful Baby Moments, mocking you? Nora started cleaning up halfway through my spiral. Want me to pack the food? No, I said. Let it sit. Maybe they'll smell the guilt from wherever they are. Dean chuckled softly. You sure you don't want to? Nope. Leave it. I sat down on the floor, heavily, like all the air had left my body. My eyes stung, but I didn't want to cry. Crying felt like admitting defeat. Instead, I laughed. A sharp, hollow sound. Do you realize how insane this is? I literally threw myself a party that no one attended. I'm one RSVP away from a Netflix documentary titled Delusion and Diaper Cakes. Nora sat next to me, rubbing my shoulder. They don't deserve you, Rue. I didn't answer. I just stared at the balloons, drifting against the ceiling like ghosts of effort. The night came quickly. Dean ordered pizza because, as he said, if we're throwing a pity party, we might as well eat carbs. We sat around the same table that was supposed to be full of laughter and gifts. Now it was just us, the 3 of us, and a cake that felt more symbolic than sweet. Dean lit a candle on it anyway. Make a wish, he said softly. I stared at the flickering flame and whispered, I wish I'd known sooner who would show up for me and who never would. Then I blew it out. Later, when they both fell asleep on the couch, I wandered into the living room. The decorations still hung there, tauntingly cheerful. I took a photo of the setup, the table, the cake, the empty chairs, and stared at it for a long time. It was beautiful, perfect, and completely hollow. I thought about deleting it. Instead, I opened my video app. I recorded a quick clip, my voice steady but eyes puffy. Hi, I said. This was supposed to be my baby shower. No one showed up, so here it is, anyway. I didn't cry. I didn't rant. I just showed the room. Then I captioned it, when your family forgets your baby shower, throw it anyway. You deserve to be celebrated. I posted it, tossed my phone aside, and went to bed. The next morning, my phone was buzzing nonstop. Notifications, messages, comments. Thousands of them. People from everywhere, strangers, saying they'd been through the same thing. Stories about missed birthdays, ignored graduations, invisible milestones. There was anger, sympathy, support. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel invisible. I sat up, rubbing my belly, feeling the baby kick gently. Guess what, little one? Looks like the internet came to our shower. Dean walked in holding coffee, blinking at my screen. Rumi, what did you do? I smiled, small and tired, but with a spark that hadn't been there yesterday. Nothing dramatic, just said the truth. He grinned. That's always the most dangerous thing you can do. That night, as I watched my video hit 1 million views, I thought about my mom, my sister, the quiet living room full of cake crumbs and fading decorations, and I realized something. I wasn't waiting for an apology anymore. I wasn't waiting for anyone to show up. They'd already made their choice. And maybe I was finally making mine. When I woke up the next morning, my phone was glowing like it had caught fire overnight. Notifications stacked one after another, comments, likes, shares, and messages from strangers who'd found my video. For a moment, my half-asleep brain thought something was wrong, like maybe I'd accidentally leaked something private. Then I saw the thumbnail. Me, puffy-eyed and tired, sitting in front of a table full of balloons and cake. Right, the baby shower that never was. I rubbed my belly as I scrolled. Every other comment said the same thing. Same thing happened to me. My mom forgot my birthday when I was 8 months pregnant. This made me cry. You deserved better. And then, buried between the kindness, there was one that made me laugh out loud. Girl, at least you got cake. My family didn't even send me a text. Dean walked in, hair sticking up, holding his coffee like it was a life source. Why is your phone making tornado noises? I turned the screen toward him. Apparently, the internet came to my baby shower. He blinked. Wait, what? Over 300,000 views, I said, trying to sound casual. Looks like disappointment is trending. He snorted into his mug. Of course it is. Nothing brings people together like shared trauma. I laughed, leaning back against the couch. I didn't even say anything dramatic, just showed the empty room. That's why it worked, Dean said. You didn't make it bitter, you made it real. I liked that. Real. I'd spent so many years trying to look okay that the truth felt like a rebellion. Nora called 2 hours later, screaming through the speaker. Rumi, you're viral. You're literally on the front page of Reddit. I groaned. That's not necessarily a good thing. It is when everyone's calling you an icon of self-respect. People are duetting your video with their own no-show stories. You started a movement. Great, I muttered. My legacy will be emotional abandonment and balloon decor. Nora ignored me. Listen, we should do another one. A follow-up. Like, part 2. What it feels like when nobody shows up. I sighed. Nora, I don't want to become a content creator out of trauma. You already did, she said sweetly. Lean in, babe. By lunchtime, I was half serious about deleting everything. Attention made me itchy. But then I read one comment that changed my mind. It said, you made me feel less alone. I thought it was just me. That hit harder than I expected, because that's exactly how I'd felt yesterday. Alone, humiliated, invisible, and now, somehow, by showing it, I'd made someone else feel seen. So maybe this wasn't just about revenge. Maybe it was about rewriting what happened, turning something ugly into something useful. I picked up my phone, opened the camera, and hit record. Hi again, I began, brushing my hair out of my face. So the internet kind of came to my baby shower, which is both amazing and weird, but mostly amazing. Thank you. I paused, thinking, then added with a smirk, if you've ever had a family member forget your big day, welcome to the club. We don't have jackets, but we do have cupcakes. Within hours, that video exploded even faster than the first one. The comment section was chaos, people laughing, crying, tagging friends, sharing stories. There was even a thread titled #ShowerForRumi, where strangers were posting pictures of their own cakes in solidarity. Dean walked past me as I scrolled, shaking his head. You've started a digital baby revolution. I laughed. Don't be dramatic. No, seriously, he continued. There are literal posts of people throwing mini showers in your name. Look. He turned his laptop toward me. There it was. Dozens of screenshots from people decorating their living rooms, holding cupcakes with signs that read, "For Rumi and Baby Quinn." I didn't know whether to laugh or cry, so I did both. The next few days blurred into a surreal mix of exhaustion and adrenaline. My inbox overflowed with messages. Support, advice, brand offers, and the occasional condescending, maybe don't put your family business online. That last one made me roll my eyes, as if keeping quiet had ever protected me. Celeste, of course, finally texted me after 4 days of silence. Celeste, hey, so I saw your video. Are you okay? Never better. Why? It's just a lot. Mom's really upset. People are asking questions. They can ask her where she was on Sunday. She didn't reply. Dean read the exchange and gave a low whistle. You sure you want to poke the bear? I shrugged. The bear skipped my baby shower, Dean. She can handle a text. By Friday, Nora came over again, grinning like she'd won the lottery. Okay, hear me out, she said, dropping her bag on the couch. We host an online baby shower. Live. Public. Everyone's invited. I stared at her. That's insane. Exactly, she said. It's poetic justice. You wanted people to celebrate with you? Let's give them a reason. Dean looked intrigued. You'd actually go live? I hesitated. The idea sounded ridiculous, and yet I could already picture it. The same decorations, the same cake, the same setup, only this time the seats would be filled, even if virtually. It would make a statement, Nora continued. You're taking back the moment they ruined. Plus, it'll be hilarious. I rubbed my belly thoughtfully. You think people would actually come? Rumi, Nora said, leading forward, you got over 1 million views on a video of an empty room. Imagine what they'll do with balloons and sarcasm. Dean snorted. Of course she's got a point. We spent the entire evening brainstorming. Nora set up her laptop, sketching out layouts and camera angles, while Dean handled logistics. We'll call it Baby Shower 2.0, or maybe the shower they missed. Wait, no, everyone's invited except my family. I laughed. That's savage. That's perfect, she corrected. It's your story, Rumi. Own it. Dean added, we'll keep it lighthearted, funny. You don't even have to mention them by name. I nodded slowly. For the first time since that awful Sunday, I felt something warm in my chest that wasn't resentment. It was possibility. The next few days became a flurry of preparation again. We reused the decorations, the balloons, the confetti, even the cake design. Nora insisted on adding a banner that read, "We showed up." I filmed snippets of the process for TikTok, wrapping gifts, frosting cupcakes, joking about my guest list of strangers. My humor came naturally, but underneath it all, there was real emotion. Every laugh had an edge, every joke had history. And people got it. They understood. The comments were full of support. You're reclaiming your joy. This is genius. We'll be there, Rumi. For once, people were showing up. The morning of the live stream, I was nervous in a way that I hadn't expected. My heart pounded as we set up the camera. Dean checked the lighting. Nora adjusted the banner. Remember, she said, you're not performing. You're celebrating. I nodded, wiping my palms on my dress. Right, celebrating. The live counter started ticking up. 50 viewers, 100, 200, then 1,000. I looked at Dean, wide-eyed. Oh my God, he grinned. Told you, people care. Nora counted down. And we're live! Hi everyone, I began, my voice shaking slightly. Welcome to my second baby shower, the one that actually happened. The chat exploded instantly. Heart emojis, congratulations, comments flying faster than I could read them. I laughed, genuinely this time. I can't believe how many of you showed up. Honestly, this might be the biggest shower in history, and none of my relatives even needed to RSVP. People sent digital gifts, funny messages, and inside jokes about balloons and cupcakes. Some even shared stories about their own no-shows, creating a community of laughter and empathy. Dean read comments out loud, chuckling. Nora handled giveaways. It felt warm, chaotic, alive. Somewhere in the middle of the stream, I felt tears forming, but this time they weren't from disappointment. They were from gratitude. I looked at the camera, smiling through them. You guys don't even know me, but you showed up. That means everything. The chat filled with hearts and clapping emojis. After the stream ended, we sat there in stunned silence. Dean exhaled. That was incredible. Nora grinned, scrolling through the stats. Over 200,000 people watched live. You just made internet history, girl. I laughed softly. Not bad for someone whose family didn't show up to the original. The room felt full for the first time, not because of people standing in it, but because of what it represented. Connection, validation, presence. Later that night, as I lay in bed scrolling through messages, one notification caught my eye. A text from my mother. Marla, Rumi, take those videos down. You're making the family look bad. I stared at it for a long minute. Then I typed back. I'm not making us look bad. I'm just showing what actually happened. No reply. I locked my phone, placed it hand over my belly, and whispered to my unborn baby, "Welcome to the world, kid. It's messy, but at least it's honest." When I woke up the next morning, my phone was a battlefield. Not in a bad way. More like a confetti explosion after a digital parade. My "everyone's invited, except my family baby shower" had gone viral overnight. Again. 2.7 million views, 48,000 comments, sponsors in my DMs, strangers making fan edits. Someone even designed a t-shirt that said, "I showed up for Rumi's baby shower." I blinked at the screen, still in my pajamas, hair tangled in a bird's nest bun. "Dean," I mumbled, shaking his arm. "Dean, wake up. We're trending on CNN." He groaned into the pillow. That's not a real sentence. "It is now." He rolled over, squinting at my phone. His eyebrows shot up. "You're kidding." "Nope." He rubbed his face. "Rumi, you've created a cultural phenomenon." "Oh, good, because that's exactly what I wanted when I was crying over unused confetti last week." He smirked. "Hey, if you're gonna have a meltdown, might as well monetize it." The weirdest part wasn't the fame, it was how seen I felt. For once, people weren't dismissing my feelings. They weren't telling me to let it go or be the bigger person. They were saying, "Yeah, that was messed up." There's a kind of healing in being publicly validated, even if it comes wrapped in sarcasm and trending hashtags. I scrolled through duets of my live stream, people watching it with their grandmas, crying. Influencers pretending to be at the virtual party with cupcakes and streamers. Even a few celebrities commenting little heart emojis. It was surreal. And then, because karma apparently works through Wi-Fi now, I got a text from my cousin Celeste again. "So, you're famous now. Congrats, I guess." "Thanks." "Mom saying you embarrassed everyone." "Maybe everyone embarrassed themselves." No reply. Dean peeked over my shoulder, half smiling. "That's gonna sting at the next family reunion." "Oh, I'm not attending that circus. They can send a Zoom invite. I'll forget to show up." He laughed. Revenge with a click of a mouse. A week later, I got an email from Good Morning America. I almost deleted it, assuming it was spam. But no, it was real. They wanted to interview me about community resilience and reclaiming moments of celebration. Dean found me pacing the kitchen, muttering, "They want to fly us out," I said, "but I'm 8 months pregnant. What if my water breaks mid-interview?" He grinned. "Then you'll break the internet again. Literally." I threw a dish towel at him. Nora was more dramatic. "This is it, Rumi," she squealed when I told her. "You're not just viral, you're vindicated." Vindicated sounds like something you need antibiotics for. "Don't ruin this for me," she said, rolling her eyes. "We're making a statement for every woman who's ever been ignored." She wasn't wrong. For the first time, I realized it wasn't just about me anymore. It was about everyone who'd been dismissed, downplayed, or forgotten. The interview went smoother than I expected. They sent a crew to film from our living room, soft lights, neutral tones, gentle music. I told them what had happened. The empty room, the silence, the loneliness. And then how thousands of strangers turned that silence into applause. The host asked, "What would you say to your family now?" I smiled. Not bitterly, just truthfully. I'd say, "Thank you. Because without them, I wouldn't have found all these people who showed up." It wasn't a lie. Dean squeezed my hand off camera, proud. Nora was behind the lens mouthing iconic. After the segment aired, things went wild again. Invitations flooded in from podcasts, blogs, and social campaigns. People wanted to talk about forgiveness, family, boundaries, social media, motherhood, everything. But the truth is, I wasn't sure I had forgiven anyone yet. Forgiveness felt like a luxury I couldn't afford while I was still unpacking resentment. I didn't want to let it go. I wanted to understand it. maybe even own it. That's when the idea hit me. If my family couldn't be part of my story, maybe my followers could be. I announced it in a video 3 days later, still in my robe, sipping decaf. So, I said, smiling at the camera, since my original baby shower guest list was shorter than a parking ticket, I thought I'd expand it. Virtually. A beat. Then, I'm creating the Internet Baby Registry. You guys can suggest items, names, or even advice, and I'll share updates weekly. Consider yourselves godparents collectively. The response was instant and overwhelming. People started sending gifts, tiny blankets, handmade onesies, letters from strangers who said things like, "You deserve love," and "We're showing up for you." One woman mailed me a knitted hat shaped like a cupcake. Another sent a storybook inscribed, "For baby Quinn, whose mom turned pain into power." I cried when I opened that one. But the sweetness didn't come without backlash. My Aunt Karen, yes, literally Karen, posted on Facebook. Sad to see people chasing clout off private family matters. I didn't even have to respond. Hundreds of people defended me in the comments before I could type a word. Someone replied, "Maybe if the family had shown up, this wouldn't have been public." Dean read it out loud, laughing. "You've got an army now." "I didn't ask for one," I said softly. "Doesn't mean you don't deserve it." He was right. It did. As the days passed, I noticed something strange happening. The fame started to shift. People weren't just there for the drama anymore. They were rooting for me. They wanted to see me win, heal, glow. I started doing lighthearted videos, nursery decorating, baby name polls, even baking attempts gone wrong. Every time the comments were flooded with warmth and humor. I realized I was building a kind of chosen family online. Messy, diverse, chaotic, but kind. And then, because the universe loves irony, my mother decided to call. It was 8:47 p.m. I was organizing baby clothes by size when her name flashed on screen. Mom, Marla. My heart sank and fluttered all at once. I answered. "Hi." She was clipped. "So, you've made quite the scene." "Hi to you, too." She sighed. "You've embarrassed us. Do you know what people are saying?" "Yes, they're saying you didn't show up. You didn't tell us the date changed." I blinked. "Mom, I sent you 3 texts. You heart reacted to one of them." Silence. Then, defensively, I thought it was a joke. "That's exactly the problem," I said quietly. "You always think I'm exaggerating." "Rumi, we were busy. Life happens." I felt my throat tighten. Life happened to me, too, Mom, and no one came. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The only sound was the faint hum of the baby monitor beside me. Then she said, flatly, "Well, congratulations on your internet fame." "Thanks," I replied, matching her tone. "At least someone showed up." She hung up. After that call, I sat on the nursery floor, surrounded by tiny socks and pastel toys. My hands trembled. I wanted to scream, cry, and laugh all at once. Dean knelt beside me. "Hey, you okay?" "Yeah, I just wish she would get it." "She won't," he said gently. "But everyone else does. And that counts for something." He was right. It did. The following week, I uploaded another video. This one quieter. No sarcasm, no props, just me sitting in the nursery. I used to think being seen by family was the most important thing. But sometimes strangers can love you better than blood ever did. And maybe that's enough. The video hit 5 million views in 2 days. The top comment read, "You didn't lose a family, Rumi. You built a new one." I replied with a heart, because for once, I didn't need to add words. The internet baby shower movement became something much bigger than I could have imagined. People all over the world hosted invisible milestone parties, celebrating birthdays, anniversaries, graduations that no one else noticed. They tagged them #WeShowedUp. I watched videos of women opening cupcakes alone in their kitchens, men lighting candles for themselves, even teenagers celebrating with stuffed animals. And I cried, because that was the power of it. We weren't broken. We were redefining celebration. One night, I got an email from a woman named Nia. "I saw your story. I'm a single mom. My baby shower was empty too. I thought I didn't matter. Then I watched your video and realized I can throw my own damn party. Thank you." I stared at it for a long time, smiling through tears. Maybe revenge wasn't always about getting even. Maybe it was about getting better. But of course, nothing stays simple for long. A week later, tabloids started running with headlines like, "Viral mom's family speaks out.
She made it up for attention," Nora called, furious. "They're trying to flip the narrative." I exhaled. "Of course they are. They're running out of oxygen." Dean added, "Do you want me to issue a statement?" I shook my head. "No, let them talk. I'll keep showing up." Because the truth didn't need defending when it was already living rent-free in millions of hearts. That night, I recorded one more clip. Short, calm, final. To anyone who thinks this story is about revenge, you're wrong. It's about showing up. For yourself, for others. Even when they don't. Then I smiled. But let's be honest. Revenge did make it more fun. The internet loved it. And just like that, my once empty baby shower had become something beautiful, absurd, and entirely mine. I went to bed feeling light, my hand resting over my belly as Quinn kicked softly beneath my palm. "See, kid, the world showed up for us. We're gonna be okay." 2 weeks after my interview aired, I learned what it meant to become family famous. Not in the flattering way. It started with a group text. The family group chat, muted since 2019, suddenly lit up like a dumpster fire. "Aunt Karen, we need to talk about what Rumi did." Uncle Grad, "You mean that internet circus?" Cousin Celeste, "She's on TikTok again. Mom said it's embarrassing." Me, "I'm literally in this chat." Silence. Then, Aunt Karen, "Oh, well, we were just saying family matters shouldn't be public." Me, "Neither should neglect, but here we are." I could practically hear her inhale through the phone. Uncle Brad, "You're making everyone look bad." Me, "I didn't make anyone do anything. I just filmed the aftermath." That ended the conversation, but it was only the beginning of the fallout. By Friday, my mom had apparently assembled what I started calling the Council of Concerned Relatives. They held a dinner to discuss the situation. I wasn't invited, obviously, but my cousin Leo, the only one with a conscience, sent me play-by-play updates. Leo, your mom just called your live stream a cry for attention. Leo, Karen suggested an intervention. Leo, Brad's on his 3rd glass of wine defending you. Leo, he called you the Kardashian of justice. That last one actually made me laugh. Meanwhile, my online following kept ballooning. The more my family tried to silence me, the louder the internet became. #WeShowedUp was now a global tag. Millions of posts, endless variations, and even charity fundraisers in my name. Nora said, "You're not just a story now. You're a symbol." Dean added, "You're basically the Beyoncé of emotional neglect." I choked on my tea. "Please don't ever say that again." He grinned. "Too late. It's your brand." Then came the phone call, the one I knew would happen eventually. Mom. Again. Her tone was clipped, cold, like she'd practiced in front of a mirror. "Rumi, this needs to stop." "What exactly?" "This online mockery. You're ruining our family's reputation." I stared at the ceiling. "You mean the family that didn't show up?" The reputation was already missing.
You don't understand, she said, voice rising. People at church are talking. My friends think I'm a terrible mother. I laughed, a sharp, humorless sound. If the shoe fits, Mum. Rumi! I sighed, exhausted. I didn't name names. I didn't slander anyone. All I did was tell the truth. If people recognize themselves in that truth, that's not my problem. There was a pause. Then she said quietly, You've changed. No, I said softly. I just stopped pretending. Click. Call ended. I didn't cry after that one. Just sat there, staring at the baby monitor, feeling equal parts empty and free. Dean walked in with a bowl of cereal and sat beside me. You okay? I nodded. Yeah, it's weird. I used to chase her approval. Now I'm not even sure I want it. That's growth, he said, handing me a spoon. Or emotional frostbite? He smiled. Either way, it looks good on you. The next few days blurred together. Press requests, fan mail, trolls, praise, and endless unsolicited opinions than I could count. Some people called me brave. Others said I was cruel. I didn't bother arguing anymore. Because at the end of the day, none of them were there when I sat in that empty living room surrounded by untouched cupcakes. They weren't there when I felt my baby kick and realized no one else cared enough to celebrate that moment with me. So yeah, maybe I was cruel, but at least I was honest. One night, while Dean was sleeping, I sat scrolling through old photos, family barbecues, birthdays, awkward reunions, smiling faces, frozen in a kind of forced happiness. I noticed something strange. I was always taking the pictures, rarely in them, always documenting, never included. And I realized maybe I'd been invisible long before that baby shower. A few days later, Nora and I were at the cafe downtown, her laptop open, spreadsheets everywhere. So, she said, the We Showed Up campaign is officially verified. You've got sponsorship offers from 2 baby brands and a podcast request from Modern Motherhood. I blinked. We? As in me? As in the face of the movement, she said with mocked solemnity. Congratulations, Madam Founder. I groaned. That sounds like a haunted statue. She smirked. Okay, Captain Closure. I threw a cigar packet at her. You're impossible. Yeah, but you love me, she said, then softened. Seriously though, Rumi, you took pain and turned it into connection. That's huge. I smiled weakly. Feels like a cosmic joke sometimes. She tilted her head. Maybe, but you're the one laughing now. But of course, the internet being the internet, someone eventually dug deeper. A small YouTube commentary channel made a think piece titled, Did Rumi Exploit Her Own Trauma? It was filled with dramatic pauses, ominous music, and cherry-picked screenshots. Dean found it first. You want me to report this? Nah, I said. Let them talk. It's free advertising. He raised his eyebrow. You're scarily calm about this. I smirked. When you've survived a passive-aggressive family group chat, YouTube critics are basically toddlers throwing cereal. He laughed so hard he nearly dropped his phone. Then came the surprise. A message request from my younger brother, Dylan. Dylan, hey, I know things are tense. Just wanted to say I watched your videos. I didn't realize how much it hurt you. I'm sorry I didn't show up. I stared at it, heart aching. It wasn't much, but it was something. I replied, Thank you. That means a lot. You didn't deserve to be caught in the middle. Dylan, Mom's furious, but honestly, you're right. They never show up unless it's convenient. For the first time in weeks, I smiled. At least one person gets it. A few nights later, Dean found me staring at the baby's half-finished crib. Penny for your thoughts? I said, slowly, I think I needed to break something to build something better. He nodded. You did. And maybe revenge wasn't about payback. Maybe it was about reclaiming the version of me that kept waiting for people who'd never come. Dean smiled. That's deep. Or just pregnancy hormones. He laughed. Both can be true.
Then came the inevitable escalation. My mom showed up. Uninvited. It was a Wednesday afternoon, the doorbell rang, and when I opened it, there she was, hair perfectly styled, lips pressed into a polite, disapproving line. Mom. Mom. She looked around the living room, taking in the baby decorations, the ring light, the camera setup. So this is where it all happened. I crossed my arms. The scene of the crime. Yep. She sighed, sitting on the couch like she owned the place. You made your point. The world thinks I'm heartless. Are you happy now? I stared at her. No, I'd have been happy if you just shown up that day. Silence stretched between us. Then for the first time, she looked unsure, vulnerable even. I didn't think it mattered that much. That hurt more than I expected. It mattered to me, Mom. I needed you, and you weren't there. Her eyes flickered away. I didn't know how to handle seeing you like that. After what happened with your father, the divorce, Don't, I interrupted. Don't make this about old wounds. This was about showing up. That's all. She looked down, twisting her ring. I guess I failed. I swallowed hard. Yeah, but you could still fix it. Not with apologies, with effort. For a moment, she just sat there, and I thought maybe, just maybe she understood. Then she stood up. I'll think about it. I almost laughed. Of course you will. She left without another word. That night, Dean wrapped his arm around me as I stared out the window. Think she'll ever change? He asked quietly. No, I said, but I did. He kissed my forehead. And that's what matters. I smiled faintly. Yeah, it is. The next morning, I woke to a new email notification. Subject line, TEDx invitation, showing up for yourself. I blinked, rereading it twice. They wanted me to give a talk. Me, the girl whose family couldn't bother to attend a baby shower? The irony was almost poetic. I laughed out loud, startling Dean awake. Guess the universe really loves a full circle moment. He rubbed his eyes. You're giving a TED talk now? Apparently. He grinned. From crying alone in a balloon pit to public speaking. Character development. As I packed for the event weeks later, my mom texted again. Marla, I watched your new video. You spoke beautifully. I'm proud of you. I didn't know how to respond at first. My heart softened, but my walls stayed up. Finally, I typed, thank you. You can come to the talk if you want. No reply for 2 days. Then, I'll be there. When the day came, I spotted her in the crowd. Nervous, small, but there. I didn't acknowledge her during the speech, but I didn't need to. My words were for everyone who'd ever been unseen, unheard, underestimated. Showing up.
When people say giving birth changes you, they usually mean hormones, sleepless nights, and stretch marks. For me, it meant a global audience and a family scandal trending under my name. I wish that was an exaggeration. The morning contraction started, I was in the hospital parking lot answering an email from a morning show producer who wanted to interview me about my journey of empowerment. Empowerment, right. That word always made me laugh. I hadn't felt empowered when my family ghosted my baby shower or when I found myself crying in front of a tripod. But now my DMs were filled with sponsors and offers to collaborate on motherhood content. Meanwhile, my body had other plans. When my water broke, it was almost comedic. I was holding my phone, reading a message that said, "We'd love to send baby onesies for your little influencer," when suddenly there was this unmistakable warmth. I gasped. My phone slipped from my hand, hit the floor, and lit up with notifications. Even my contractions were synced to my alerts. Labor felt like revenge wrapped in pain. Every breath was a reminder of everything I had carried, not just a child, but disappointment, anger, and a lifetime of trying to be enough for people who showed up only when it benefited them. Each contraction felt like letting another piece of that go. The delivery room smelled faintly of antiseptic and fear. I cracked jokes between contractions because
That's what I do when things get too heady. My nurse, a woman named Pilar, laughed every time I swore under my breath and called the epidural my peace treaty. "You're trending again," she said at one point, glancing at the news notification on her phone. "Internet baby shower mom gives birth live. You okay with that?" I groaned. As long as they spell my name right. I wasn't live streaming, but someone from the maternity wing had recognized me. A photo of me holding the hospital bracelet had leaked, and suddenly the world knew I was in labor. Half of Twitter was cheering me on, the other half said I was a narcissist exploiting motherhood for likes. They didn't see the quiet moments, the shaking hands, the whispered prayers, the way I gripped the side of the bed when fear tried to swallow me. When I finally heard my daughter cry, it was like static turning into music. Pilar placed her in my arms, warm and impossibly small. She blinked at me like she already knew I was chaos wrapped in glitter and sarcasm. I cried, ugly, trembling sobs that came from somewhere I hadn't touched in years. "Welcome to the world," I whispered. "Sorry about the comment section." The backlash started before I even left the hospital. Headlines popped up. "Influencer mom cashes in on birth drama. Where's the father? The internet demands answers. Family responds to Rumi's baby shower scandal." Apparently, my mother had gone on a morning talk show. She sat there, pearls glinting, talking about how she was deeply hurt by Rumi's public betrayal. My sister cried on cue beside her. The host nodded sympathetically as if they were the victims in my story. I wanted to scream. Instead, I turned on my camera. Not for revenge this time, for clarity. I filmed a quiet video from my hospital bed, my daughter sleeping beside me. I said, "I didn't ask to become viral. I just wanted people to care. I wanted my family to show up. And when they didn't, strangers did. That doesn't make me cruel, it makes me human." That clip hit 10 million views in a day. The comments were a battlefield, some calling me inspiring, others calling me manipulative. But the message I cared about came from one girl. "You made me feel seen." That one line outweighed every insult. The weeks after birth were a blur of diapers, formula, and headlines. I named my daughter Aria because even in silence, she sang her presence into the world. She had my eyes and my habit of making people uncomfortable by existing too loudly. I stopped checking the group chat. They had renamed it without me anyway. Instead, I built something new. A small, private community of mothers who found me through that viral shower. We talked about loneliness, rage, joy. We laughed about leaking through shirts during Zoom meetings. We celebrated each other's tiny victories. That became my new family. Still, there were moments when the backlash stung. When I saw strangers dissecting my motives or speculating about Aria's father, I felt the old ache creep back. But then I remembered the night of the virtual baby shower. How thousands of people had shown up when my own blood didn't. And I realized that sometimes healing isn't about forgiveness. It's about becoming someone who doesn't need their apology anymore. A few months later, I got an invitation in the mail. Cream envelope, elegant handwriting. "Rumi, we'd like to meet our granddaughter. Love, Mom." I stared at it for a long time. Part of me wanted to tear it apart. Another part wanted to bring Aria to prove something, that I had built a life without them, that I didn't need their validation. Instead, I went live again. I didn't name names. I didn't rant. I simply said, "Forgiveness isn't an RSVP you owe anyone. Sometimes you heal quietly, off camera." That video didn't go viral, and for the first time, I didn't care. Late that night, with Aria asleep on my chest, I scrolled through the comments anyway. Old habits die hard. Someone had written, "Your strength made me want to have hope again." I smiled. I whispered, half to myself, half to her, "We did okay, didn't we?" Her tiny hand twitched in her sleep, curling around my finger. And in that quiet, I realized revenge had turned into something softer, something that looked suspiciously like peace. I wasn't the girl who waited for people to clap. I was the woman who threw her own celebration, even if she had to stream it herself.
By the time Arya turned 1, I thought the internet had finally moved on. The hashtags faded, the interview requests slowed, and I could walk into a coffee shop without someone whispering, "That's her." I was just Rumi again, a mom with dark circles, half-washed hair, and a baby who thought sleep was optional. But peace, apparently, has a short shelf life when you've built your fame on family drama. It started with a message request one quiet Sunday morning. My mom's name blinked on my screen. I almost dropped my mug. "We'd like to make amends, Rumi. We want to do it right this time. Maybe a family dinner, or, if you prefer, something online so you're comfortable." Something online. I laughed, a short, sharp sound that startled Arya, who immediately threw her sippy cup in protest. The irony was so thick I could spread it on toast. A family that skipped my baby shower wanted to reconnect on Zoom? Perfect. I should have ignored it, but the petty part of me, the same part that once live-streamed revenge confetti, couldn't resist. So I wrote back, "Sure, let's go live." The idea was ridiculous, but that's how most of my best moments start. I titled it The Reunion Livestream, Family, Forgiveness, and a Few Regrets. Hashtag optional, but heavily implied. The comments poured in before I even hit record. "She's really doing this? This is either healing or chaos, and I'm here for both." The internet had been waiting for a sequel. They just didn't know it yet. When the stream went live, I kept the setting simple. Arya's nursery in the background, soft yellow walls, fairy lights. No champagne, no decorations this time. Just me, my laptop, and a cautious kind of courage. "Hey everyone, tonight's a little different. My family wanted to talk, so let's see if they still remember how to show up." The comments exploded instantly. "We're ready! Popcorn engaged! Girl, protect your peace!" Then the notification popped up. "Incoming call, family group chat." I took a deep breath and accepted. Their faces filled the screen like ghosts from a parallel timeline. Mom, perfectly composed as always. My sister, pretending to smile. Aunt Carla in the corner sipping wine like she was watching a movie she already knew the ending to. "Hi, sweetheart," Mom began. Her tone was syrupy, rehearsed. "You look, well, sleep-deprived, but thanks. Comes with being an actual parent." A pause, a visible flinch. She sighed, "We've been talking, and we feel terrible about how things happened. It was a misunderstanding." Right. A misunderstanding that lasted a year, multiple interviews, and a morning show appearance where you cried about my betrayal. My sister jumped in, voice trembling. "We were hurt too, Rumi. You embarrassed us." I tilted my head. By having a baby? Or by being honest? Carla muttered, "Here we go," under her breath, but the mic picked it up. The live chat went wild. Aunt Carla did not. The tension is delicious. Mom cleared her throat. "We want to make amends. We'd like to be part of Arya's life. We made mistakes, but you can't erase family." The words hit me harder than I expected. For a moment, I stared at their pixelated faces and remembered every Christmas, every photo album, every laugh that once felt real. But then I remembered the empty chairs, the silence, the way they turned my pain into content. I smiled. "You're right, Mom.
You can't erase family, but you can mute them. The comments erupted. Laughter, clapping emojis, digital fireworks. Mom frowned. Is this what you wanted? To humiliate us again? I shook my head. No, Mom. I wanted accountability. I wanted an apology before a camera was involved. But since you love audiences, I figured you'd appreciate this setup. For the first time, she had no words. Aria stirred in her crib behind me, a small sound that softened the edges of my anger. I looked back at the screen. I don't hate you. I just finally love myself more than your version of me. And then, for once, I ended the call first. The comments poured in like waves. That was art. Closure with confetti-level precision. Her peace arc is complete. But the best comment came hours later, long after the stream ended. You turned pain into a public boundary, and that's iconic. I smiled, closing the laptop. The screen went black, and in its reflection, I saw something that almost looked like calm. Aria's breathing steadied beside me. The world outside was quiet. No cameras, no applause. Just us. And that felt like enough. For the first time, I didn't need the internet to see me, because I finally saw myself.
The morning after the live stream, I woke up to silence. No pinging notifications, no reporters emailing for interviews, no trending hashtags. Just the hum of the refrigerator, Aria's soft breathing, and a sunbeam cutting across the nursery floor. It was almost unsettling. For a whole year, my life had been a carousel of attention, each spin powered by outrage, sympathy, or scandal. Now it was still. And that stillness felt heavier than noise. I padded into the kitchen, made coffee, and opened my phone. The live stream replay had millions of views. Headlines called it the ultimate digital boundary, or a modern lesson in closure. Commentators debated whether I had gone too far or not far enough. But for the first time, I didn't scroll for approval. I just sipped my coffee and watched the sun paint the walls gold. Later that morning, a delivery arrived, a small brown package with no return label. Inside was a photo. Me, Mom, and my sister from years ago, smiling in front of a Christmas tree. On the back, someone had written, "You were loved once. Maybe we can find our way back there." No signature, but I didn't need one. For a long moment, I stood there holding the photo, torn between nostalgia and caution. There was a version of me in that picture who would have called immediately, desperate for reconciliation. But that girl didn't exist anymore. Now I just placed the photo on Aria's bookshelf, next to her baby monitor and stuffed giraffe, a reminder of what was lost and what wasn't worth losing myself over again. A week later, I went live again. No fancy title, no theme, just me sitting on the floor with Aria crawling into the frame. "Hey everyone," I said, smiling softly. "No drama today, just gratitude." The chat filled slowly. Familiar usernames popped up, people who had followed since the beginning. I started this whole thing out of hurt. But somewhere along the way, it became about healing. I thought revenge would make me feel powerful, but honestly, peace feels better. Aria grabbed the mic wire, babbling nonsense that somehow felt like agreement. So if you're watching this and you've been waiting for someone to show up for you, stop waiting. Throw your own celebration, even if it's just you, your kid, and a lopsided cake. The comments were quieter than usual. More hearts than words. More warmth than noise. That was enough. Months passed. My audience shrank, but the ones who stayed were real. We shared baby milestones, messy days, therapy wins. My content shifted, from revenge to reflection, from chaos to calm. The views didn't matter anymore. One evening, while putting Aria to bed, I whispered a story about the night I threw a party that no one came to, and how it changed everything. She laughed in her sleep. Maybe she understood in some strange baby way that the story wasn't about being left behind. It was about choosing yourself. Sometimes, late at night, I still get messages from people finding my old videos. They always say the same thing. I watched you stand alone and realized I could too. Every time, it hits me like the first time all over again. Because I started this journey looking for validation, but what I found was freedom. The internet remembers the spectacle, the hashtags, the live streams, the clapbacks, but what they don't see, the real ending, isn't viral. It's me standing in a quiet kitchen, humming to a sleepy baby. No cameras, no audience. Just peace. And if that's not revenge, I don't know what is.